My friends, welcome to One Healthy World. I'm the weight loss champion, Chuck Carroll, here in the U.S.
And I'm Dr. Gemma Newman, a family physician over here in the UK.
You know, Dr. Newman, talking about age, 50 used to seem really, really old. I'm talking like grandpa old.
I know, but it's not that old anymore, I promise you, because we are living longer these days. And many of us say that 50 is the new 30.
I love hearing that. And the proof is in the pudding. So we are going in search of that fountain of youth today. And our quest includes a conversation with Dr. Marty Wasserman. This guy, north of 80 years old, and for fun, he swims miles across the Chesapeake Bay.
It's absolutely incredible. I cannot wait for that. But before we do, let's bring nutrition back into focus. How does diet help defy the hands of time? Let's find out with Dr. Neal Barnard.
Thank you, Gemma. Thank you, Chuck. Let's talk about being fit after 50. Well, what happens to us at 50? At 50, you see the results of all the things that you've been doing up to that point. That's really what 50 is. We start to see, oh my goodness sakes, I've been having maybe more calories than I've been burning, so I'm gaining weight. The foods I've been eating have raised my cholesterol level or my blood pressure. Maybe my joints are starting to hurt because I haven't been doing so well, or my fitness isn't good because I kind of forgot to lace up my sneakers. Well, what that really means is the diet changes that we need at 50 aren't really special. The diet to be fit at 50 is all the things you should have been doing since you were 15. Let's go through them. I got 5 things. Number 1, you know you need protein. But if you've been reading all those men's health magazines that talk about huge amounts of steak, eggs, don't do that. You want plant protein because plant protein is associated with significantly greater longevity than animal protein. Throw out the animal protein, get it from plants. How much do you need? Roughly 50 milligrams a day. More if you're active, if you're bigger, less if you're inactive and smaller. But that's a pretty good ballpark for most people. Get it from plants. Number 2, you know you need calcium, but you don't want dairy calcium. Number 1, only about 1/3 of the calcium in milk is ever absorbed by your body. That's no good. And along with it comes saturated fat, cholesterol, estradiol. You don't want that stuff. You get calcium from the original source. Green leafy vegetables, broccoli, and all the other green vegetables bring you highly absorbable calcium without the stuff you don't need. How much? I would get 700 milligrams or more each day. Now the government pushes it even higher than that. Frankly, that's dairy industry lobbying. 700 is a good amount. Don't go below there. Most Americans are. Greens will get us up. Supplements, you do need vitamin B12, not optional. It's added to some foods, but you may not be reading the package labels to know if your cornflakes have B12 in them, so take a supplement. How much do you need? Adults need 2.4 micrograms per day. Why do you need it? Healthy nerves, healthy blood. Not optional. B12 is something that you do in fact need. Now, when it comes to exercise, you know it, I know it. We didn't read the label that said just do it. Well, they're right. Just do it. You may not feel like it, but make time for exercise. The more the better. But if you're not exercising about a half hour a day or an hour 3 times a week, hey guys, let's really ramp it up. Okay, now I have one more point. 50 is also a time when women reach menopause, give or take a few years. And for many, they sail right through it, no big issues, but some have hot flashes. So this is where our research on hot flashes comes in. Now, you already know the first steps, getting away from animal products, keeping oils really low. But adding about 1/2 cup of cooked soybeans per day, along with a very low-fat vegan diet, knocked out hot flashes in about 88% of cases. So there you have it. At 50, we're just getting started. You can be fit after 50 and for decades to come, and these 5 steps make it easy.
Thank you so much, Dr. Neal Barnard, for sharing your amazing tips on how we can age more gracefully with the power of nutrition. And now we're going to be hearing from a real life Peter Pan, someone who refuses to grow up and to grow old. We are hearing from the amazing Dr. Marty Wasserman. He incredibly can swim across the Chesapeake Bay at the age of 81 years old. That is a feat that most people half his age wouldn't even dare to try. Let's hear his story.
My plant-based journey actually began in the summer of 2022. I had just completed my 24th swim across the Chesapeake Bay, having recently turned 80 years old. And the bay is a 4.4-mile swim. I was feeling pretty good. Some friends invited me on a 50-mile bike ride, which I completed. So here I am, 80 years old, having swum the bay for the 24th time, having ridden my bicycle, and I'm feeling very healthy, very fit. And then about 2 weeks later, I fell off my horse. And fortunately, I didn't break anything, but I had some pretty bad bruises. And as I looked in the mirror, I realized, as Dr. Peta Attia would say, I'm getting a little less thin these days. And I'd put on significant weight, and I was concerned. And what could I do to try to get off the weight? I have 4 young grandchildren, to be able to play with them, to be active with them, and possibly what could motivate me. And I said, for my 25th swim, a year from now, I'd like to be able to get into the wetsuit that I wore in 1995 at my very first swim. And that would probably require at least a 20-pound weight loss. So that became sort of a thought mulling around in my head, at which time we went to the annual Physicians Committee International Conference on Nutrition and Medicine. At that conference, I learned all about, once again, the value of a plant-based diet, how it actually could prevent or cure many illnesses, get you off medication, and of course lose weight. I thought that might be the key to losing weight, getting healthier. And at the annual meeting conference, evening dinner, I committed to a plant-based diet in order to lose 20 pounds in what I called Project Wetsuit. And that name and that title kind of stuck. Dr. Hana Kaliova, with whom I'd worked I serve as a safety officer for PCRM, she said, well, I'll serve as a coach for you. And we decided that we'd try and work together. She'd give me some hints on maintaining a plant-based diet. I had some books to read. I joined an app called Noom, which allowed me to weigh in every single day. Dr. Barnard was interested and excited and said, why don't you appear on Mission Critical? I think he knows that if you make public commitments and build accountability into your activities, there's a greater likelihood that you'll be successful. For me, it was being successful in getting into the wetsuit, and for him, it was keeping Marty on the plant-based diet. So we started, and I went on Mission Critical, explained what the goal was, described Project Wetsuit, and we said I would come back after I lost 20 pounds and had tried on my 1995 wetsuit, with comments being, the wetsuit's so old, it will probably have dry rotted, and this will all be in vain. And people said, well, it won't be in vain. You'll have lost the 20 pounds and you'll be in much better health. So believe it or not, by adhering to the plant-based diet, and I do most of the cooking in the house, and I do use no fat for sautéing, for cooking, would cook vegetables instead of frying them in oil, would sauté them in flavored vegetable broth, and used a lot of tofu. Read several books about and articles on how to get sufficient protein using tofu, using broccoli, a lot of green vegetables. Legumes often appeared in my salads in the evening. I made my own protein powder out of split peas for split pea soup by putting them in the Vitamix and adding them to steel cut oats for breakfast. So I had at least 50 grams of protein every day, just almost right off the bat. So I had sufficient protein, made sure I had my vitamin B12 pills, got rid of cheese, and then also focused on low glycemic carbohydrates, omitting white breads and white rice. So I used whole grain breads and brown rice, farro, and quinoa, which I've learned to enjoy. Barbara avoids the quinoa, and but everything else she'll join me in. And so the journey began. It took a little over 2 months, and 20 pounds had come off. I went from 195 in August of 2022 to mid-October 175. And I had vowed, if you can get to 175, under 175, and hold that weight for 3 days consecutively, or 5 out of 8 days, then you can try on your wetsuit. Well, as luck would have it, I had 3 consecutive days under 175 and pulled out the unrotted wetsuit, actually got into it, and was absolutely delighted. We took a couple of photos. It was still it, I still looked a little big in that wetsuit, but it wasn't pretty. But I had accomplished the goal. They called me back to Mission Critical. I believe at that time they allowed me to speak, and they snuck a photo in, which was a bit humorous, but it was actually supportive of the activity. And we made a commitment to come back then on 2 points. One, how did you do in the swim in June? And then also, did you hold your weight at 175? After the call, however, Dr. Kaliova said, Marty, at 175 for your height, 5'8", you are still a little overweight. And if you got down to 165, then you would be normal weight for your height. And so she put a new goal for me, which was a lot harder, losing those next 10 pounds. It took about 5 months, I think, to lose 5. And then it was the end of May, which was my 81st birthday. And the day before that birthday, I entered a 2-mile swim in Reston, Virginia, to try out the wetsuit and to see how everything came together in an open water swim. And did fine, was very excited. And I think it was something like 2 weeks later, on June 11th, I very excitedly entered the bay, having stayed on my plant-based diet. The night before, I weighed 164.1. Actually, it came as a surprise. I'd been going down, but I'd never been below 165. So that was the first time, and how fortuitous. And I was able to tell Dr. Kaliova, not only did I swim the 25th swim in my wetsuit as I wanted, Project Wetsuit was successful, but I also had done it at under 165. Another value that occurred at the subsequent ICNM conference, and that had been after the third Mission Critical discussion, when I mentioned that I had completed the bay. I was the oldest finisher. The race developer handed me a 25 visit plaque. I had completed the swim 25 times. I was actually the oldest person at age 81 to finish the swim. So naturally, I was oldest in my age group, which was over 80. In fact, there was nobody even over 75 who swam it this past year. So I was very excited by all of that. My energy is up, both from plant-based and from the exercise. I'm just very excited about life in general. Looking forward to continuing to exercise. Been back in the pool. Between the plant-based diet and coupled now with exercise, I dropped about four minutes in my 1.5 miles. So delighted by all of that. And so I suspect I will continue this plant-based journey and get to the maintenance weight of 165 over time. And that is that I've been able to get off 2 of my medicines as a result of my improved health. My weight's down. I'm not any taller, but my wetsuit hasn't dry rotted. I'm still swimming, and my attitude is fantastic. I have a lot of support from PCRM. I have support particularly from my wonderful wife, Barbara, and my children, and supporters, other friends from college and medical school. So life is good.
Dr. Marty Wasserman, that is just unbelievable. 81 years young. I'm 41, and I don't think I could swim across the Chesapeake on my best day. And his story kind of reminds me of another person I interviewed on the Exam Room podcast, a trainer from New York by the name of Kirk Charles. And at 61, Kirk is hopping on his bike and pedaling from New York to Chicago, and he's not even going the straight way. He is going up and down the East Coast. He's going to hit a lot of vegan restaurants along the way. He's making what should be an 800-mile journey and 1,100-mile bike ride just because he can. Just an amazing story. Plus, you think about someone like Ann Esselstyn, who I have seen with my own two eyes pull a tire that is twice the size as she is across the stage. And this is someone also well into their 80s. It is true proof that age is but a number. And as Dr. Newman said earlier, Dr. Wasserman, he's kind of like Peter Pan. He doesn't want to grow up. Well, I don't want to grow up either. So I'm soaking up all of these tips that we learned here on the show today. And I'm going to soak up, too, what Anne Christine is cooking up for us in the kitchen. Here she is now, our culinary correspondent on One Healthy World.
Today, we're moving and shaking. Hey friends, it's Anne from Veggie Magnifique, your go-to for holistic wellness and a healthy vegan lifestyle. One of the best ways to live long and prosper is to not smoke, consume a healthy diet with tons of fruits and vegetables, and moderately exercise every day. Now, when it comes to exercise, my health coach tip is to find something you really enjoy doing and then do a little bit every day. Do less more often. So for example, 20 minutes a day is better than a big shebang on the weekends. So once you've found out how you enjoy moving your body, it's time to fuel up properly to support your workouts. And I've got some ideas. So before you exercise, we're going to delight in some beet juice. The advantages of incorporating beet juice into your routine include elevated energy levels, enhanced endurance, and improved muscle recovery post-workout. So we're going to enjoy our beety goodness 1 to 2 hours before your workout, and here's how to make it. So for our juice, you need 1 red beet, an apple, an orange, and some ginger. Now, you're not off the hook if you don't have a juicer. You can blend all these ingredients with a little water or coconut water in a blender and then strain it through a fine mesh strainer. Now go and move that body. So since you're a mover, now it's time to be a shaker with this gorgeous calcium and protein-rich cherry almond shake. So why are we having cherries? Good question. See, cherries have been proven to help with post-exercise muscle soreness and speed up recovery. Woohoo! And of course, calcium-rich almonds are also good for your bones, among other things. So for this recipe, add the following ingredients to a blender: a ripe banana, preferably frozen, a cup of frozen cherries, 2 tablespoons almond butter, 1 teaspoon vanilla extract, a half carton silken tofu, hello extra protein, plus some soy milk if need be to thin it out. Now, optional add-ins, you can add a scoop of your favorite protein powder. I would recommend vanilla here, and or a tablespoon of cocoa or cacao powder. Chances are you're going to enjoy this shake so much that you're going to be eager to work out again, knowing that this scrumptious delight awaits you. Cheers to your longevity, my friends.
And Christine, always a whiz in the kitchen with such delicious tips, so thank you so very much to her. Dr. Newman, I absolutely, as I get older, have a completely different outlook on aging than I did when I was a young man. I think back to when I was a kid and how I thought my parents were so old. I remember when my mom turned 40 and I was like, oh my God, she is so old. But it turns out we still have our whole life ahead of us.
Oh, we do. And I know what you mean. I think as well in society, maybe it's a female thing, but I feel like many older women are not necessarily seen as much in the media as they get older, but actually they've got more than half their lives left to live. And if we live right, then we can live to a ripe old age and still do all the amazing things that we used to do.
You know what also really blows my mind is you can have two people stand next to each other who are the exact same age, and one will look 20 years older than the other. And I would think that the younger looking person, as we've learned today, have really put a premium on eating a healthy diet and living a healthier lifestyle. It makes such a tremendous difference. And including, I mean, I love so much to talk about food. Food makes a huge difference here, Dr. Newman.
Yeah, food is amazing. It can heal us, but it can also sometimes prevent us from living life in the way that we want to. And when it comes to aging, epigenetics plays a huge part in how our food affects our age. And when we have loads of plant rich foods, we're able to actually potentially slow down that aging process in a really special way. So, definitely, it's really important for us to focus on that healthy plant rich diet.
So I think the key to Peter Pan staying young wasn't so much the magic of Never Neverland as maybe Peter Pan ate a plant-based diet, huh?
Maybe he did. He was in the forest a lot, right? Maybe he
He
was foraging.
We have learned so much all season long here on One Healthy World, talking about fasting and Alzheimer's disease, heart disease, radiant skin, getting that healthy glow from the inside out. And it all goes back to what it is that you eat, Dr. Newman.
Yeah, it's been a really incredible journey. And what I love about each of the episodes is we've really kind of zoned in on some of the things that concern all of us with regard to how well we live as well as how long we live. And as you say, it all points towards eating a healthy, plant rich diet.
Absolutely. So many great tips, so much more still to come. Season 3 is already in the works, so stay tuned for that. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to us here on YouTube. And while you're waiting, go back and relive some of the memories, some of the lessons that we've learned here during Season 2 so that you can be ready when Season 3 drops very, very soon. But Dr. Newman, I want to take a moment to say thank you for an incredible ride along the way. This year has been absolutely fantastic.
Thank you, Chuck. I've absolutely loved it. And I'm so pleased with the One Healthy World community and all of the lessons that we've learned together. And I cannot wait for Series 3.
Coming soon, so be sure to subscribe right here on YouTube. Keep it locked for One Healthy World.